Izzy here for the third part of our weapons creation tutorial for Starsiege. Um, I'm showing you guys how to animate a weapon in several different techniques here. One technique that actually wasn't utilized at all, or maybe it was, I don't know, but very little, I'm sure, in Starsiege, was the use of IFLs. And they're very simple to create, and I will show you what they do here. I've already animated this weapon, and I've UV mapped it to existing Starsiege textures. I actually, thanks to Velix, he got me a folder full of Starsiege textures that was already converted, which is very handy. But you can convert them using a variety of tools, or you can just go to the Starsiege website and download the textures already converted, which would be my suggestion. So what I've done was I UV mapped this according to some already existing Starsiege textures. This is a hybrid logo texture of some sort, and this is a I'm not exactly sure, I'd have to go up here and look, but it's not important. But the only one that is important is the one here that in the middle, that is the logo here. And if you'll notice, what I've done here is I've added some animation to where it just kind of has red and green dots that kind of flash in it, which is cool. And when you fire this weapon in the game, that's what it'll look like. Those dots will flash until your weapon recoils back, and when the weapon stops animating, it will stop flashing. I'm going to show you how to do this. Pretty much your limit to what you can do with IFLs, it's pretty much endless. In order for me to get this tutorial started, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to redo the whole thing, and I'm going to start fresh here from scratch. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to do is put a texture on my thing here, my barrel, and I use this hybrid logo. So what I did was I just basically selected a blank color swatch here, and I went to diffuse, and then I went to bitmap, and then what I did was I select this blank box here for bitmap, and I went to my scenes folder where I dumped all the Starsiege textures that I downloaded with my models. You want to put your textures in the same folder as your models, that way when you open your models up, the textures will already be there with them. And I just went through here, and first I looked through there and I figured out which one I wanted to use, and then I just picked whichever one I wanted, and then I UVW mapped it to fit on a scale that I liked. Then I came up with this nice effect here, which isn't where I wanted it, and this is like a different bitmap there in the same folder. And so that's basically what I did for these two parts here. I'm not going to go over the entire UV mapping tutorial with you because that's covered in the second part of this video. If you haven't watched the first and second part, then you're no doubt lost, so you need to definitely go back and watch those. The part that I'm interested in is IFLs. What are IFLs? I'm not sure of the technical name for it, but here's my IFL. Basically what I did, as you can see here, this is a bitmap from Starsiege. I started with the very first bitmap, and I made a copy of it in Photoshop, and what I did for the next one is I put 3 green dots, and then for the next one I put 2 red dots, and then for the next one I actually took away the red dots, so it gives it the look of having red green dots kind of flash in and out. Then what I did is I named these in sequence: Sin Cryo 1, Sin Cryo 2, Sin Cryo 3, and Sin Cryo 4. It's important that you name these in sequence. You can name them 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter as long as they are in sequence. Now the Sin Cryo IFL I created with 3D Max. What I did was on 3D Max, this is very simple, and I went into my Utilities tab. Looks like a hammer. You go down to IFL Manager, and if you don't see it, just add it by clicking this right here and adding a button, and going down and finding IFL and then putting it on the button. So you click IFL Manager, and you scroll down, you hit select. Then what you do is you find your first bitmap in the sequence of bitmaps. For example, it's going to be here, and it's going to be Cinematic Cryo 1. Okay, it says start 0, which is fine. You can leave that at 0, but I have 4, so I'm going to put end on 4. I have 4 pictures. Then you hit create, and it'll say, would you like to create a SynCryo IFL? Yes. So there's my SynCryo IFL. I've already have it created. Then what you want to do is just select the place where you want to put this new animated bitmap. And instead of adding a bitmap to that area, you want to find your IFL, just like a bitmap. Click a swatch, a blank color swatch, go to bitmap, navigate to where your IFL is, which for this example here, mine's on the desktop in a folder called Cinematic IFL. There it is. Click the IFL, and there's the IFL right there. It's like a bitmap. Now you just put it where you want it. Make sure you UVW map it. That's how I got the computer screen right here. I used my UVW. I added a UVW map, and then I unwrapped the UVW, and then I applied the square to the particular coordinates, and then you're left with this really cool effect. The actual options to this are limitless. You could have your blade here animated with bitmaps. You could have a blue. When you shoot this, the animation happens. The animation will only happen when it's active. I'm not real sure how to get it to happen when you're just kind of running around. But yeah, what you can do with this is completely unlimited. So one thing that you can actually do is, like, for example, have like a light that kind of chases around this, or something of that nature. You could moving on to another animation. Now this is the way you would animate, for example, an actual action, like the blades moving backwards when fired. Basically, they would have this action, boom. I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of delete all the work that I've done here. I want to start from fresh, so I can show you exactly how it's done. I just deleted a sequence that I had created, and I want to go in here and just delete all my keys. That way I don't have any animations. Just select objects, which will select everything, and delete this. Click this little rabbit's foot here. Actually, click the rabbit's foot with an X beside it. Delete all the keys, and yes. Track view. Let me explain track view to you just a little bit. Track view is exactly what it sounds like. Picture a dog track in front of you, and it has 10 dogs running on it. This is a silly example, but it'll work. Each dog is running in a different place. They're not all running in a line. They're all running in different places. Okay? Well, you want to be able to say, okay, dog A is running between mile marker 1 and mile marker 2, while dog C is running between mile marker 3 and mile marker 4. Basically, on a sequence, you can go to track view, and you can tell a particular sequence that you want the action of dog A, and in track view you can select mile marker such and such, and then such and such for mile marker B. I'm going to show you how to do this. For right now, we have no animations at all. I just deleted all the keys, except for the IFL. Okay, the first thing you want to do is go down here and select these two magnets in the middle, percent snap and angle snap toggle. Basically, that helps you animate a little easier. You don't want to use inverse schematics for this. This is for Hercs mostly. You can, but I'm not going to. Alright, you want to take your slider here. This is your animation slider, and you want to slide it to the first number of your animation, which I'm going to be 1. Always use 1, don't use 0. I don't know why they say not to do that, but it's everything I've read says not to do that. Okay, and the sequence is basically like that. It's a series of keys. Sorry about the interruptions. So what you want to do is we just slide our key line here to 1 and we click on the animate button. Okay, and then slide it up here to where you want it to end. You want your animations for your weapons to be fairly quick, so there's a quick motion. You don't want to shoot a bullet and have it take 3 minutes for your weapon to recoil, and by then you've already shot 3 bullets. It's just going to look kind of silly. So I say 1 to 10 for each animation is about what I use. So right now I'm on 10. What you want to do is go ahead and animate your weapon however you want it to be animated. So what I'm going to do is just go up here and click select and move on a restricted y-axis. What I'm going to do is not Y, Control Z if you mess up, hit X, and I'm going to bring that back to about right here, which is kind of, so now I have this real cool kind of lock action here, which is cool. And I'm just going to unclick my animate button. So now from 1 to 10 I have this really cool animation. Now let's say for example during this particular animation that I wanted another animation to happen. For example, I could have it maybe go back and spin around in a circle or something like that, whatever. All I'd have to do is have one sequence for both actions, but just make sure that this action is between 1 and 10. It happens between 1 and 10. And you can do that also by using like the inverse schematics, but you have to fool around with those. Just mess with those, and that's something that I can show you later on when we get into hurt creation, which will be down the road. But for right now, I'm just going to show you one animation at a time. So, okay, but if I wanted another animation, let's say I had another moving part to this, like maybe some fins that come out of it, and I want them to kind of bounce or something like that when this weapon goes back, I would actually make another animation for that, say from 20 to 21 or something like that, or 20 to 30, and then what I would do is go up here and I would add another sequence. Speaking of sequences, because we have this animation now, it's not ready for Starsiege yet. What we have to do is create a sequence and tell that sequence with those keys 1 to 10. So we go up here to this helpers tab, and we go down to general, and we click on sequence. Go down where it says no transform collapse and use self frame rate, and just make a sequence right here. You don't even have to name it because it's already named sequence 1, so that's fine. Now we go up to our track view, what I showed you earlier. Open your track view. Looks like 2 boxes here, and just kind of maximize that. Okay, over here where it says objects, you need to go down through your objects and find sequence. There it is, sequence 01. Right here is our animation that we just made on our blade, and you can see that it's from 1 to 10. You can actually zoom into those by rolling your middle mouse button if you like, and you can see 1 to 10. But we need to make sure the sequence knows that, so we click the plus sign beside sequence, go to object sequence, and right here where it says self frame rate, we need to put some keys. So go up here and click this thing that looks like a rabbit's foot, add keys, and click from 1 to 10, just like it looks right above here, and that's it. Just close that out, and now that particular sequence will show up in Starsiege. When you shoot this weapon in Starsiege, it's going to recoil back. Okay. Now something that I just learned out of a book I've been reading, 3D Studio Max FX Design, that I'm going to play around with because I'm starting to actually learn about it, is how to create like electricity effects and things like that. And if we can do that, then that's something that isn't in Starsiege. That would be absolutely amazing. IFLs, we can animate our weapons and our cockpits and various parts of the Herc as it moves. The IFLs will usually only animate when the particular shape is in action, so you don't need a sequence for IFLs. But if you do create an IFL, you need to put the IFL and the bitmaps that you used for the IFL, all 5 of them, all 10 of them, whatever, in your Starsiege folder, okay? And you need to convert those IFLs over to Phoenix bitmaps. So your IFLs need to be like 512 by 512, 256, 256, or 64 by 64. Use Pika New or one of the programs to convert them over to standard or to Phoenix bitmaps. So I will probably, I know this is a 5-part video series, but I may create a second sequence, an animation part to this particular video due to some new information that's come to light with NURBs. I've actually found out that you can actually edit NURB splines and have them have like electricity run through them and such, but I actually haven't. So from this book that I'm reading, I can do this, and I can actually have these splines invisible in the game, but I could have like an energy ball actually follow along these when you shoot this weapon, or I can have like electricity shoot all through these by, for example, like applying different types of textures and giving those textures certain properties with the material editor if they'll render. And I will, like I said, I will actually get into that in a separate video if I'm able to figure that out. If not, then this is how you create animations for Starsiege. And on to video part 4. Thanks for watching.